Carteret COnnects. I'm Mike McHugh.
Got a little technical difficulties going on.
Beyond our control.
Yeah.
Beyond my control. I just stood around there.
Beyond my control.
I stood there like a schlub and just looked at it. Here, hit that button there. I'm Mike McHugh, the host of Coastal Daybreak, along with Richard Clark, the news director for the Carteret News-Times. Why do I always do the introduction? Because I'm the radio guy?
Yeah, you're the radio
I've been doing radio for 4 months.
This is what you do. Yeah.
Well, for the last 4 months I've been.
Yeah.
No, actually what I do is I'm the
You're
executive.
a pro now.
I'm the executive director of the Swansboro Area Chamber of Commerce. I bet you didn't know that, but I
Yeah.
am. Where is Swansboro?
Yeah.
It's that way. I don't know. I'm bad with directions.
It's that way.
It's that way. Yeah, it's go west, young man. It's over there somewhere. Glad you're joining us on this beautiful sunny day.
Rainy
sunny.
Friday.
I don't know where you are, but it's sunny and beautiful here in Morehead City. No, it's rain here, and it's going to be raining for the next. I think they.
It's all weekend, right?
It's all weekend, and then for the next 45 days. So get the wood out, get the hammer out, and start building the ark.
I wonder how that affected Big Rock.
Well, Les Still was saying earlier in the week how the high pressure was sitting over the fishing grounds. The fishing grounds out in the water. So maybe it's not so bad out there. Who knows? But it looks like if you look at a weather map right now.
You know, if you can drive 15 minutes and
Sometimes.
change the weather, maybe you go out in a boat and change it.
Yeah, maybe it's a little more clear out there.
Makes a lot of sense.
But the rain is training up the coast here, so I don't know. It's probably wet out there, but what do they care? They got rain suits.
I guess.
You golf in the rain.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I guess you're fishing. Can you imagine? I mean, people like fishing. A lot of our viewers here, they love it.
People love it.
Being on that boat, rocking on a sunny day, I'd get bilious. Being on a boat, rocking on a rainy day with a grout and fisherman, cover on.
Yeah, I'm not me.
No, I get bilious.
I'm not the Gordon fisherman, so.
That's a tough life. Talk about a tough job.
Yeah.
Commercial fisherman.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking even anywhere.
Anywhere.
To make a living on.
Can you imagine doing it in Maine where it's all cold all the
Do
time?
it off the coast here and be on
It's a
Clyde
tough job.
Phillips shrimp boat out of Swansboro. It looks beautiful when it's parked.
Hey, I've watched Deadly Catch.
Yeah, that's right. They're rocking and rolling out there. I love it when meteorologists say it's going to be a nice day here in eastern North Carolina. Now that system we thought was going to come in is going to stay out at sea, so don't worry about it. This is going to be a maritime event. And there's some poor fishermen out there saying, "Hey, you're talking about where I work. That's going to be rocking and rolling out there."
Oof.
I experienced that. On a cruise. I don't know if we said this on the podcast.
I was on the radio.
But for my 20th wedding anniversary 8 years ago, I'm talking to this thing like it's live. This is actually props to make us look like we're kind of happening and hip in our studio.
Sometimes they're live, sometimes they're not.
Wait till we get the real podcast built. We're working in the studio. Anyway, Norwegian Cruise Line, a straight shot from Charleston, South Carolina to Bermuda. Going back, kind of rekindling where it all started 20 years ago. Beautiful day in Charleston. We get on the boat. We go past Fort Sumter. The sun's going down, and we find our way around the boat. But and when we got onto the boat and learned about the history of it, we didn't know that the year before they had taken the boat back to Norway, cut it in half,
and made it bigger.
They stuck this 660-foot section in the middle of the boat, so now it's a big ass Norwegian Cruise Line liner. And our room was on the 7th floor in that new section that they had cut and then put back into place. That's fantastic. So we're all excited. We had dinner. We retire to our cabin. And at about 12 o'clock at night, the boat begins to pitch up, down, and sideways. Because we were left beautiful Charleston, and the weatherman said that little system that was down near the Bahamas, it's going to track its way north up the Atlantic. It's not going to be a big event for us. In fact, we're not going to feel it here in North Carolina, but it might be a maritime event.
Couldn't they have gone further out?
It didn't. It went straight up to us, and it hit us broadside. We were the maritime event.
Oh.
And for that first night on the boat, the boat was just rocking and rocking. And Mrs. McHugh, she called down to the front desk and requested, could they do something to stop the pitching and the rocking? And the reply back was, if we could, we would. And just be glad that you're not down here. We have to work through this. You can sleep. Well, she couldn't sleep, and she told him that. I can't sleep.
Horrifying.
Yeah, it was horrible. So the next morning we wake up, boat's still rocking, and you're walking down the hallway. It's about the size of this table, sideways, and you're slamming into the wall. We get to the elevator, and we notice several things. The crew, or the maintenance guys, the housekeeping guys, are cleaning the rails of the stairwell from vomit, which was nice because we're going to breakfast.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys. And then around the elevator was a gentleman dressed as if he looked like he was the captain, all white, pants, shirt, and all that, and a hat. And they were all wearing life preservers. And he had it circled around him, about 20 people. They were passengers. And the only question I heard, you know how you walk by a group and you can hear snippets, snips, was, at what point would you have said abandoned ship? It's like, what the hell? Did we get on the Titanic? Did we hit an iceberg? But we were on the seventh floor, and on the eighth floor were the lifeboats.
Yeah.
And they had seaweed in it. So they said we had 50-foot swells. Wow. 50 feet.
Yeah, no.
So imagine like a fishing boat. I mean, it's much smaller.
Yeah, much smaller.
My wife swore to God the boat was going to break in half because they had just, they did that little augmentation over in Norway or wherever they went. Norway. Yeah.
Better you than me.
Cruise line, Norway. So anyway, the whole trip was that. The seas were roiled for 6 days, and I enjoyed it, but it was not your ideal cruising weather. Yeah. So I don't think we're going to have that off the shores today. So hopefully the fishermen from the Blue Rock Big Marlin
trying to beat that 494.
Yeah, 494 is the top fish, and so
a lot of money at stake.
Someone comes in and gets above 500, they get the extra juice of 552,000.
We ought to get a dinghy and go try to catch one.
If it's too late.
Yes.
I got a canoe. We need a bigger boat.
Yeah, exactly.
We need a bigger boat.
We need a bigger boat.
We need to go with Michael Jordan on his boat. So
be shark bait.
Catch 23's here. Michael Jordan. His plane's parked at Michael J. Smith Field. That's a nice little bird. And the boat. I mean, the boat's a nice boat. I'm not. It's not
80 foot. $10, $11 million
the pictures
boat.
Don't look like that. That make it that big.
Yeah.
You can't park a helicopter on that thing.
No, but he's got one. You can.
Nice. Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got nice.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. You know how it works.
So it's funny. He's got the Gulfstream 550 parked over at Michael J.
He's got all
and
the
it looks
toys.
like a small commercial airplane. When I say small, the planes that fly into New Bern and Jacksonville, those Can Air jets, it's a $62,000.
Yeah. Let's
ride.
be clear. It's every bit as big as the first plane when I first went to Greenville.
Yeah.
This is back in the day. And I had to get on a plane with propellers.
So you're flying on it, the Havilland Dash.
Yeah.
And they seat about 35, but you're cramped.
Yeah.
This thing is as long as a Dash. It's probably almost as long as a Can Air jet.
It's actually bigger than I thought it was.
It was.
Yeah.
Which now? Michael's?
Yeah. Michael's, yes.
Yeah. Of course, it's not going to be appointed like a commercial aircraft. It's going to have, it's going to probably has a suite probably.
Oh, absolutely.
But my point is, so he must have two pilots that fly that bird. Now they're jet pilots. He's got to have somebody for the helicopter.
Oh yeah,
those guys.
Unless they do the same thing. He might have a specialty guy.
I don't think the two pilots doing that do the helicopter.
Probably not.
He's got several pilots.
You never know.
Then you got to do maintenance on the thing.
Well, it's interesting. I don't know how much this information I should put out there, but I used to play basketball as with grown people with a guy in Kinston who flew the plane for somebody that owns some high-profile restaurants in the area, put it that way.
Right.
And he would have to go at a moment's notice when the guy just had a whim to go somewhere or needed to go somewhere and get the plane ready. We were playing one night because we played at like 9 o'clock at night.
Right.
So at 11 o'clock in the middle of our game, he got a text, and I guess the guy wanted to go somewhere.
Was that his only job?
That was his only job.
What kind of compensation do you think he made on that?
He looked like he was doing all right to me.
Yeah, because commercial.
First off, you're a pilot, so they got to pay you X amount, right?
So I got a friend who just aged out last December with American Airlines, and he was flying the big jets. In fact, he was flying some international routes as well. And he was about $150, $200 a year.
Yeah, a friend of mine's father was a pilot for Delta, and he still is, I think, as far as I know, and he does pretty well.
And the cool thing about that is, I love talking. When I would talk to George, he was based out of Philadelphia, lived in Charlotte, so he'd fly to Philly and do his routes. But he would, I was at his house one day, and he was picking his schedule out for the coming month, and they can only fly. Like 15 days, 12 to 15 days out of the year, out of the month. So he's picking his routes. And at the time, he was doing transatlantic flights. So he's based out of Philly, and then he could have taken a flight to Charlotte. But he was looking at London, Paris, Munich, all. And I said, how do you decide? Because he had seniority. I said, how do you decide where you want to go? And with his years, he pretty much had carte blanche, before the lower. So he's there. He's there. Look at that over there. And there was a jar. He's there. What I usually do is I look at how many coins I have to spend from those countries, leftover change. So this is like before, Euro. So if I have a lot of like pounds, I'll go to London. I'll do that trip. going to Gatwick, or I might do Paris. You know, if I want to get some stuff, do a little shopping.
Has he ever had any emergency situations?
No.
Yeah.
No. In fact, he was flying on 9/11. I mean, he's George is 65. He was flying on 9/11. I remember talking to him several times about that. And he was former Air Force, not retired, but former Air Force. And you know, he would say that, you know, the pilots would love to arm themselves, but the FAA wouldn't allow a pilot to be armed in the cockpit for fear of what they might do. And he's there. We're flying an airplane. We can, you know, take it into the ground, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, that would have done away with Muhammad, you know,
right,
coming through the back, the door of the cabin. They could have plugged him. But then, you know, what they reinforced the doors. But the pilots and the pilots union, I think, advocated the use of firearms by pilots. If you're going to trust your pilot, look, you're going to trust your pilot flying an airplane. That if you think he's nuts and crazy, he can easily take it into the ground.
Well, that's how
we've seen some examples.
Look, that's how I've always felt about the cut all the phones off stuff. Look, man, if my phone is going to take this plane down, we're all in trouble.
Oh yeah,
that just annoys me.
That was window dressing. That was window dressing. In fact, you know, before 9/11, well, this is cool.
And this was before. They would do that before 9/11. It's even worse now.
I'm not sure about that. Was it?
I mean, they would say something to you about it, make you cut it off.
It was electronic
devices. But back then, it was really just laptops.
Yeah. So I remember flying. I did a lot of flights as a passenger between Washington National, DCA, and Charlotte, CLT. And I had an airport air traffic scanner, and it looks like it's about the size of your coffee cup, and it looks like a walkie-talkie. And it's got numbers and dials on it. And what you do is you tune in the frequency to the air traffic controllers, you know, the regional centers, and then also the tower. And it's cool to hear the traffic and talk. If you like airplanes, it's fun.
It's like a police scanner.
Yeah, it's a police scanner. So 2 examples of how we've changed for flying. I used to have the scanner open in the cockpit, listening, and you could catch it to several thousand feet. So if you're on approach like to Charlotte, it's kind of cool to hear your plane, hear the traffic controller talk. You know, and
maybe it's cool.
You can hear that conversation. Yeah, you're too low, Striker.
Pull up.
Ground. No, it's terrain.
Yeah,
terrain. So anyway, I had my scanner, and I worked with a bunch of guys. We all liked airplanes and all this. So my friend Chuck Barger says to me, "Hey," he said, "I just got back from a trip to Canada," and he flew Air Canada into DC, and he said, when you get on the plane, tell the flight attendant that when we get airborne, you like to go into the cockpit. True story. And this is July of 2000 when we got Monty up in Quebec City. So we're taking a vacation on July 4th to Quebec City. So we got to go DC, Toronto, and Quebec City. It was on the way home from Quebec City to Toronto. I thought, I'm going to do this. And again, July of 2000, right? This is before 9/11. Come on to the plane, and I said hi. I said, we're sitting back in the 15th row. I said, when we get airborne, can I come into the cockpit? I mean, imagine saying that today. They'd arrest you right there on the spot.
Yeah.
They'd tase you, tie you up, you know.
Hey, don't look at me. I get pulled for the random search every time I go to the airport, so... You know,
you got black sweatsuit. Yeah,
when my hair was longer and everything else.
I'd pull you aside. Too.
Yeah,
I just had a little conversation.
The last time I went,
a little conversation.
The last time I flew to New York, just so happened a plane for Columbia was exiting, so I got pulled then too. Was
a little dog sitting next to you too? A little shepherd.
Yeah, you're like, come on, man, really?
What's the purpose of your trip to New York?
Yeah.
How long?
Pleasure or business?
Yeah.
How come it's overnight?
Yeah. You're walking kind of funny there. What's the matter? Come into this little room. We want to have a conversation. Is it Mr. Clark? Right? Yes.
Is that really your name?
Is it Ricardo? So we get there. So they said, okay, fine. She writes it down. And we're sitting in our seats, and it's funny. We had gone to Canada, and a little side story. We found a puppy up there.
Right.
You never do this. Don't get a dog in a foreign country.
Yeah.
And you're flying. It worked out great. And Monty was a terrific dog. He was a Labradoodle before they knew what Labradoodles were. Anyway, so Monty's barking down below in the cap because he's stowed away, and
got no air pressure there.
No. Yeah. So we get airborne, and sure enough, as soon as we get into the clouds, the flight attendant, she comes walking back, and I said to my wife, I said, watch this. She's going to bring me into the cockpit. So she said, Mr. McHugh, the pilots are waiting for you. So I go there. It was Pete, and I'll never forget this. They're flying, and they turn around and they had swivel seats. They turn around the seats because it's on
Right,
autopilot.
autopilot.
And they said, "Well, welcome aboard. What bring where are you going?" I said, "DCA National." And they said, "That's your dog below, right?" Because you hear Monty barking. And I said, "Yeah." I said, "So where are we?" And he's there. Well, he's there. We're at about 15,000 feet. It's a short flight. He's there. We're just passing Ottawa down here off the left side. And I said, I started doing all. I go, "What's this button do?" And that business. But it was cool. So he's there. Okay, he's there. We're getting into Toronto airspace. So we got to get to work here. So they both swiveled in, and I said, "Thanks." I said, "I appreciate this." They said, "You can sit in the jump seat if you want, but
nice.
we got to take over."
Yeah,
like,
nice.
Great. Oh my God. That was awesome.
Side note, Toronto's a wonderful city.
It is.
I really like Toronto.
Yeah, it is. So we didn't
Clean.
know. So we land in Toronto, right? And we have to transfer. We have to go through customs in America for the United States customs there. And so this was the big moment. Are they going to let the puppy in? Monty had
Sometimes,
no shots, right?
Sometimes you got to quarantine.
So we're in this long walkway, this long hallway, and it says, U.S. Customs. And there was hardly anybody in there, surprisingly. So we get into line, and I see like a person that looks like a policeman, officer, whatever you want to call it. And I said, "Excuse me," I said, we have a dog on this flight. Is there anything special that he's there?" "Oh no, he's there. My partner's got him outside." And he took him out for some business. So Monty squared off. He squared off right in the unloading zone. He dropped a 2-pointer out there. Came back in. And the next thing we saw, we bought a little kennel for him. He was only the size of a cat. He was small. And he's just looking at the screen, and he's going up this conveyor belt, to get his luggage. So he's transferring. Yeah. I said, "Is he okay?" Meaning, did he clear?
Yeah.
"Oh, yeah, he's cleared. He's fine. He's a great dog." This guy was the canine. He was canine.
Yeah.
So we go through customs and all that, and that's it. We just saw Monty for a flash, and we get on the plane. So we're sitting now, again, it's a small jet. We're sitting in like the front row. It's not first class, but we're sitting in the front row. And we said to the flight attendant, they said, "Welcome aboard," and all this. And this is when airlines still, cared about you when you get on. I said, "Thank you." And my wife said, "We have our puppies on this flight." And the lady looks at the manifest. She's there. "We have no animals on this flight." Well, Mrs. McHugh said, this plane's not getting off the ground until my dog is on board. She's already attached to the little knucklehead. And the flight attendant's like, "Well, okay." So she gets on, comm and all that, talks to ground. And sure enough, like out of nowhere, like out of a movie, this golf cart comes with Monty
in the back. Nice.
He comes on board,
nice.
and we take off.
Lord only knows where he would end up.
Yeah.
And for those out there, don't try that now because it's different trying to get animal in now.
So he comes. We came back. We landed National late at night. Kathy's she's a nurse at the time. She works nights. The next night she goes off to work. Monty's out back now. He dropped a 2-pointer in Toronto. It was like Hershey syrup. And I was like, "Oh God, she's there. You got to go to the vet." So we got this dog for it was $125 Canadian, which is like $75 for a Labradoodle. You know where they are priced now. So we get home, take him to the vet. $600 later, they gave him they recharged his fluids and he was good to go. So, but that was a funny story.
Don't try that now. Don't try that now. All that's changed now. They'll quarantine your dog.
But
and here's the thing. Now you need to watch out for the companies that actually are in charge of quarantining your dog. Are not state agencies; they're third party.
So they're contractors.
And they're not always
up and up.
Yeah.
The thing you were talking, what started us on this long diatribe was these things. That was all window. Like, you think a 747 or a 737 with all of its electronics that you're gonna.
If I can bring this down,
you're gonna mess up at the communications of that. That's bull. Yeah. That's bull. You know what it was? I think. Remember. I don't know if they still have it on the headrest and the seat in front of you, but they used to have phones, they had earphones, and it would be like $10 a day or something. Yeah. That's what they.
When I went, the lady got one of the stewardess or whatever, flight attendant. She got mad to the point where she was threatening to hold the plane because I had my earbuds in, but I didn't have anything playing. I mean, I guess she thought they were still on. I'm like, look, really?
It's the look.
I mean, go do what you got to do.
Were you flying to Cali or Cartagena? Where were you going? Cartagena.
Bogota.
Colombia.
Going to Bogota. To re-up, right?
Bogota, yeah.
I've been watching too much Narcos.
I got to get back into that series. I love that one.
Oh yeah, the last season's good.
And you see their airplane. What was the national airplane of Colombia? Anyway.
Yeah, you know,
Avianca.
The irony of that
is they blew up in Avianca.
Yeah.
Remember that? That was a real story. That was true.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Cartel.
They were
trying to kill the governor.
They actually did kill a presidential candidate.
That's right. Yeah. They blew up the plane.
Yeah.
In midair.
Yeah, it was. That's when the tide changed down there a little bit about the public sentiment. Before that particular cartel leader, Escobar, was seen as a Robin Hood type character.
Yeah. They're Netflix. You talked about that. I gotta get back into that. I gotta watch that. Then I've watched it. I'm gonna watch that again. I'm gonna watch Breaking Bad again.
Well, have you seen the new season of Narcos? It came out about 6 months ago. Yeah.
Probably not. No.
Yeah.
But somebody did a study, and I think they did like what a person who watches Netflix out there. Everybody's raising their hand. What you're gonna look like 20 years from now. Being a binge watcher and it's posture, it's face, it's your whole eye.
I'll say this: it definitely not just Netflix, but it changes everything. For instance, TikTok. We don't post to it. Me and my girlfriend, we just like to look at the animal videos, really. But what it's done is because everything is a 2-minute video or less.
Is that the limit?
I think so.
Yeah.
I know zero about TikTok other than looking at the videos.
Yeah.
But the point is, the other day we were watching the show and it didn't immediately grab us, and we were like, "This is boring. Let's do something else."
Yeah.
Because we're used to boom right in, boom right in, boom right in.
Yeah,
it's going to change. That stuff has changed everything. And Netflix and this binging has completely changed TV.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to wait.
You don't watch serial TV every Thursday night at 8:30 on ABC.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I want it now.
Yeah. I want to at least be able to watch 4 episodes right now.
Yeah.
Because that next show you got at 8:30 or 9 o'clock, I don't want to watch that. I want the show I was watching, and I want to know what happened in the last scene. So.
It's funny how you look at the whole evolution of broadcast, and it started with like DVRs. You DVR something and watch it when you wanted to. Even like sports, like don't tell me the score.
Right.
Don't tell me. And now it's like you get the NFL package. Heck, you could have 24 monitors.
The NFL.
You can just have every game on.
Well, yeah, but the NFL took it a step further. They got a thing called the red zone where it only shows when they're about to score, and then the next day they play the games with no commercials and no downtime. So like it goes from guy runs out of bounds to they hike the ball the next play.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic. You watch a game in like an hour.
Wow.
Yeah.
You gotta really pay attention though. Do you have the NFL package?
No.
I'm surprised.
Yeah.
NBA package?
I work in journalism. I don't have
NBA
money.
package?
I do not yet, but Gwen may be seeing it on her cable bill very soon.
Yeah. What are they similar?
No. NFL is way more.
How much?
Last I heard, the NFL package was pretty expensive.
Well, what?
I don't know off the top of my head.
$200?
Oh, easily.
$500 or less?
I want to say about $400, but I'll
For the
look
whole
right
season?
now.
For the whole season?
Yeah, for the whole season.
Well, you got 17 weeks, right? 7 and plus preseason
And playoffs. But see, playoffs it's on national TV. So
Yeah,
a lot of them.
What are you talking about, though? You're talking about $20 a week, basically, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean,
That's not too bad. Is it? What's NBA? More?
No,
Is it more
it's
games?
less. It's less.
Now, is the NBA package the whole NBA, or can you just do?
Yeah, you can watch. It's $293 for the NFL.
So $300.
Yeah,
$300, 17 weeks. That's not bad.
it's not too bad.
No.
But
I
again,
mean, you pissed away $300.
well, and where it comes in handy is, say you live here and you like the Arizona Cardinals.
You're never going to see those.
You
games.
never see them, so you can watch
Yeah.
your team whenever
Now,
you want.
MLB has the same thing.
Yes.
Now,
Theirs is pretty expensive.
is it for the whole league?
The NBA one's $249.
In the whole league.
Yeah. You
See,
can watch, like I could watch the Sacramento Kings whenever they're on.
But you have to buy the whole league. You just can't buy.
You gotta
See,
buy
that's
the whole
how that's smart. That's good for the consumer. When these things first started, there was an outfit in Washington, Maryland called Home Team Sports.
Yep.
And it was all it was on cable, but it was all Baltimore Orioles. I thought this is like the second coming.
When I first got cable in
when you
Richmond,
saw live Baltimore from Camden Yard, no less, home games on television.
yeah. When I first got cable in Richmond, we had Spectrum, which was all Philly teams. We had that home team for the
Home
Wizards
Team
and
Sports.
Bullets then.
Yeah.
The Atlanta had
And
the
the
Hawks
Capitals.
with TBS, and then there was Madison Square or something.
MSG.
Yeah, that had the New York teams.
So they had those.
And WGN for the Chicago team.
They had they came out. They were out before. They were out
Yeah.
first. But when major sports then got into it, I thought it was like baseball came out and you can buy the entire Phillies package, home and away. It wasn't the whole league. I think it was just individual teams when they first came out. And then they said, oh, you know what? Let's just make it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it was. I think you could because in fact I know a guy who works at the Hammocks Beach State Park. He's not a ferry. He's a maintenance guy. I was going to say he's a ferry captain, but he's a Detroit Tiger fan, and he bought the Detroit Tiger package. This is a couple of years ago, so they might have changed the whole package deal.
Well, according to this, the Major League Baseball has the cheapest package,
which is what.
It is $120 a year, or $30 a month
for the season.
Yeah.
So 130 a year. That's not bad.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
If
you're really
for me, like I love the NBA, so I would literally watch the Kings play, the Clippers at 11 o'clock at night on a Tuesday.
And they're either rebroadcasting or they have new programming for weekend update or whatever they call themselves. So,
see, something like the NBA has so many games that you could literally watch a game pretty much every day.
I'm surprised you don't have that package. Gwen should buy that for you.
Yeah. She may be buying for me.
She's
rolling. I know it.
She's rolling.
Yeah.
She's working at the newspaper. Sales.
We're in journalism. We don't have any money.
She's on the other side though.
Yeah.
She's on the money side.
We don't have any money.
She's on the money side.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fat stacks.
Yeah. I wish.
Fat stacks Landry.
And right now the NFL package is only offered through satellite.
Ooh, so you can't get it.
Yeah, you have to get DirecTV.
Jeez.
DirecTV. That's probably why the price is a little bit higher too.
I don't know how to do it. I got to cut Spectrum out of my life. $235 a month.
Yep. And
it's a landline. All I get is Nigerian scammers calling me.
Yeah, her cable box is horrendous. We have to reset it like 3 times a night. It's awful.
It's Spectrum, right?
Yeah. It's funny be careful what you wish for sentiment. When I was in Virginia and DC, we had Comcast.
Yep.
And I thought they were the devil. But honestly, looking back on it, they're probably the best one.
Wow.
Their customer service was shaky, but whose isn't at this point?
I mean, you think about the dish, and it sounds like so like ooh.
It's not what it used to be.
But where do you think? It's better.
Yeah.
Where do you think? Spectrum's.
It's all satellite.
It all comes from satellite.
And what's interesting is, me and 2 friends were talking about a game that was on, a football game, and I had over the air regular antenna, old school.
Yeah.
One of them had DirecTV and one had cable. I would see it first because it was DirecTV, directly in. The guy that had DirecTV would see it second. The guy that had cable was the last. He was a good 4 or 5 seconds behind at least. Yeah, because it has to go through everything. Yeah. So, anyway, we've talked about nonsense. We probably need to let the studio.
Yeah, we've probably lowered your IQ about 10 points today.
About 15, I think.
Get it back over the weekend. Do something smart.
Have a good weekend and enjoy yourself. Stay dry.
Yeah, thanks.